If you're looking for a quick and easy budgeting tool, this is it. My name is Michael and welcome to the Michael Saves YouTube channel. This is my updated Google Sheets budget template tutorial. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the steps of setting up this budget in real time. You can pause, fast forward, and rewind. I'll have quick links below to help you get to the points of the video faster. Let's get started. There are 5 steps in my process, and step 1 is coming up right now. Step 1 is to locate and open the Google Sheets monthly budget template. Now, I prefer to set up my budget from a desktop or laptop computer, not from a smartphone. And when you open Google Sheets from a computer, look for the monthly budget template right here at the top. If for some reason you don't see it, you can click on Template Gallery and you should be able to find it right here under Personal. Step 2 is to start with a clean slate. Now, once you've opened the monthly budget template, the first thing you want to do is to give it a new name. In the upper left corner, you see that it is named Monthly Budget. Change it to Sample Budget to copy every month. I'll explain why that's important coming up a little bit later. Next, you want to delete the sample amounts on the summary and transaction spreadsheets. There are 2 spreadsheets that make up this budget template. Now, you want to make sure you follow these instructions carefully because if you do this incorrectly, it could break the formulas in the spreadsheet. We're going to begin with the transaction spreadsheet. You see that I flipped over at the bottom of the screen from summary to transactions. And to delete the sample expenses for rent and paycheck, all you have to do is you need to go to the number 5 here on the left side, select that entire row, and then you select delete values from the edit dropdown. Those sample transactions are gone. After that, scroll down to the bottom of the transaction spreadsheet. You see that it ends with row 33. Now that's going to be a problem if you have more than 33 transactions in any given month. So just click Add 1,000 more rows at bottom, and then you won't have any trouble running out of space for transactions. Once you've made those changes, we're going to go back over to the summary spreadsheet and make a few more changes there. To start with a clean slate, adjust the starting balance from 1,000 to 0. That's in cell L8. Then zero out the sample home and paycheck amounts shown in the shaded column. The summary spreadsheet ends with row 44. If you think you may need additional expense categories beyond the ones listed here, you want to click again, add 1,000 more rows at bottom. You're going to get this pop-up screen that says you're trying to edit part of the sheet that shouldn't be changed accidentally. Edit anyway. It's safe to do so. I've done this many times. Click OK. We're moving on to step 3, and that's to customize a sample monthly budget. Now, before you adjust the expense categories on the summary spreadsheet, I recommend that you create a third spreadsheet for fixed expenses. Now, the purpose for this is to separate your fixed and variable expenses, so let me explain how I do it. In the lower left corner of the screen, click on the plus sign for Add Sheet, and then change the name of the sheet to Fixed Expenses. Then list your fixed expenses and how much you plan to spend on them every single month. There are only 2 columns for this worksheet, Expenses and then Projected. I went ahead and filled out a sample list here. Once you have your fixed expenses, you can highlight them all and use the sum feature to add them all up. In this case, $1,500. Make note of this number and then flip back over to the summary spreadsheet. Next, change the first line on the expenses column from food to fixed expenses and enter the amount from the spreadsheet that you just created. Now, all of the fixed expenses take up only one line on the summary spreadsheet, and you can focus on the variable or flexible spending categories that have a greater impact on your day-to-day budget. From here, you can safely change the shaded expense and income categories on the summary spreadsheet through line 41. So for example, I can change gifts to groceries if I want to. That won't have an impact on the spreadsheet formulas. But for now, don't fill in any of the planned expenses except for the fixed expenses that we just did. We're going to do that a little bit later on. If you need help determining your budget categories, you can always go back and review recent credit card and bank statements. Here's what it looks like after I spent a couple minutes customizing the expenses side of the summary worksheet and filling in my own categories. You can also do this with the income side. I choose to use this spreadsheet just for expenses. That's up to you. Now go down to line 41. This is really key. A lot of people say they need additional rows of expenses because they have more budget categories. You have to be really careful when you are adding these additional rows, or you could mess up the spreadsheet formulas. If you think that you'll need additional rows, or if you know that you'll need additional rows, stick with me. Otherwise, you can fast forward to the next step and I'll have a timestamp below. Right now, we're going to address this issue of how to add more custom categories in the Google Sheets budget template. First, determine the number of expense categories that you want to add. Now, it doesn't hurt to have extra blank rows, so maybe 5 or 10 rows that'll work for you even if you won't use them all. Then you want to follow these steps. Go to the last row of the expense column. For you, it may say custom category 3, or you may have already changed it and filled it in. It doesn't matter. As long as you're on line 41, you're in the right place. Then highlight the cells that you want to duplicate. You're going to drag down using the blue handle as far as you want to go. I'm going to stop at line 50. You'll get this pop-up again, and you can click OK. Next, you want to just rename the categories anything you want. After that, jot down the last row that you created. In this example, it is row 50, and I've called it New Category 10. Then you want to flip over to the transaction spreadsheet to continue. From the top of the transaction spreadsheet, navigate to the category dropdown. As you can see here, not all of the budget categories are reflected. Remember, I stopped at New Category 10, but I only see new categories 1 through 4 right here. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. Highlight the first cell under Category on the expenses side. That's row 5 and column E right here. From the Data menu, then select Data Validation. In the cell range field, you want to change transactions E5 to the following. Just add colon E1000 to the end, then click OK. Now, in the criteria summary field, change the last 2 numbers of this formula to match the number of your last row from the summary spreadsheet. Remember, I just told you to jot that down. For me, that means I'm going to change this from C44 to C50. Click Save. Now when I check the category dropdown, you see that all of my categories through New Category 10 are there. Step 4, make a copy of the sample budget and plan your spending. So now that you've customized the sample monthly budget, the 4th step is to make a copy of it to save the work that you've already done and actually start budgeting for the upcoming month. So go to File, select Make a Copy, and then rename the budget for the upcoming month. So as you can see, all the categories and the fixed expenses spreadsheet have been copied over. Now from here, you want to just plan your spending for the month in all of your budget categories and make sure that the total doesn't exceed your monthly income. And if you need to make tweaks to your categories or the fixed expenses spreadsheet in the future, make those changes to the sample budget before you make a copy every single month. Everything's all filled in, and we're moving on to step 5, track your expenses with the Google Sheets app. Now, once I set up my budget on a computer at the start of the month, I typically do the rest of my budgeting on the go with the mobile app. You are looking at my computer screen still, but everything I'm about to show you, you can do this on the app. It is free for download for either Apple or Android devices. I use the free app to get an overall snapshot of my spending from the summary spreadsheet, and also to log my transactions using the transaction spreadsheet. So let me show you how that works. A common example. So again, pretend that we're using the mobile app right now. Before I go to the grocery store, I'll open the Google Sheets app and I'll look at the summary tab right here. You can see I have $400 budgeted for groceries. So I want to know how much I have left to spend for that month. Then after I complete my purchase at the grocery store, I will flip over to the Transactions tab and I'll enter that transaction right here. So let's say I'm spending $50 at the grocery store, and I could easily categorize it like that. And then when you flip back to the summary page, it will reflect the transaction that you just made. Checking in with my budget before every purchase, this has saved me a lot of money. And if I realize that I don't have enough money budgeted for something that I want to buy, I can either skip the purchase or move money from another category. So let me explain how that works. For example, in this sample budget, I have $400 planned for groceries and $300 for restaurants. But let's say that I'm at risk of going over my budget for groceries. I could pull $100 from restaurants, changing that from $300 to $200. Then that would increase groceries from $400 to $500. I'm not changing the overall total planned spending for the month, just the categories. Now, another great thing about the Google Sheets budget template is that you can share it. If you maintain a budget with a partner, you can both make changes to the budget from a computer, tablet, or smartphone. Just use the share button in the upper right corner. That's a wrap for this Google Sheets budget template tutorial. I also have written step-by-step instructions on my blog, michaelsaves.com. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and keep watching Michael Saves to keep saving money in your daily life.